and welcome to Friday Friends. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Carli, and we're Next Chapter Home Team.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This week we're here with Mary from Merrily Modern. She's going to talk about 5 ways to refresh your space.
So the 5 ways to refresh a space in your house would be changing out the lighting, painting, whether that is cabinets or walls, changing out your cabinet pulls or painting your cabinet pulls, refinishing furniture, whether that means stripping the wood and staining it. Or the last one would be backsplash. So if the backsplash in your kitchen is really dated, you can just change that out without redoing the whole kitchen.
So Mary, tell us a little bit about your business, how you got into business, what you love about your business.
The name of my business is Merrily Modern. I didn't want to use my name, and I felt like that was sort of like close enough. And I work with homeowners who oftentimes get really overwhelmed when they're about to embark on a renovation and don't know where to begin. So I help them find their style, go through that whole process, and help them find the potential in their home, whether they're a new home buyer or have lived in their home for 10, 15 years and want to refresh. So I do full design consulting where, I can help them with construction plans and choose tile and design their cabinets. I also do what I call like an on-call designer, where I can do visits with them whenever they want me to help them come up with initial ideas or work through any problems they might encounter. I love kitchens. Like the kitchen is the heart of the home, allegedly, right? Fun space to bringing together a lot of different elements. I love tile. That's like a nerdy thing, but I love tile. I love wood, so finding sort of all of those elements and how it complements a family's lifestyle, their style. Found that I feel like people who really are attracted to bold, colorful kitchens and homes tend to be like more high energy or like crave high energy, are runners or listen to loud music, drive fast maybe. People who connect more with a more neutral zen-like will listen to jazz or, just be more mellow and seek out more sort of relaxing moments. So diving into who they are, often I'll be able to kind of find what their style is, because a lot of people will be like, I don't know.
Right, so then do you ask people those kind of questions when you're working with
I
them?
do, but I also will do an exercise right at the beginning, like give me 3 adjectives of how you want your kitchen or living room or bathroom to feel. Somebody might say like warm, earthy, modern. That is often a good starting point. It's also, if I'm working with a husband and a wife who maybe have like 2 totally different visions,
Sure.
I'll have them text me those answers independently. Yes. And then it's funny because often there will be at least one word in there that is the same, and that can sort of be the anchor, and then we'll take one, from her and one from him or whatever sort of
Combination.
Yeah. So that is a fun exercise to help people find their style and not be overwhelmed. As a designer, I can be the one who's overwhelmed because I know, everything that's out there and how to narrow down those selections.
And then you recently redid your kitchen as well, so you have...
I've been there, yes. So I don't want anybody to experience the PTSD that I experienced. It's a lot. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of dust. It's a lot working with a lot of trades. Stuff comes up when you open up walls, and the whole process is really overwhelming. So it's kind of like what people say, like hire a wedding planner so they can stress out and you can enjoy the day. Like I will be the wedding planner, but I don't think they're going to enjoy the renovation. Like there's nothing to enjoy.
It's still a renovation.
Yeah.
At the end. They will enjoy the end, right?
They will, and it'll be one of those things where they're going to not feel like I'm handing them something that I just designed for them. It's really a collaborative process, so they'll be able to see themselves and their style in it. It might just be more elevated than they chose on their own, because I think a lot of times people will be like, I don't know, I'm just going to do white cabinets and white subway tile because it's too overwhelming, and that feels, and it is safe to do that, and it is classic, and then you can kind of bring in other elements to bring your personality into it. I think working with somebody, you can kind of amplify your style or maybe find your style.
Right. And it's nice to think about including your personality in it instead of just looked at this magazine and this is a pretty kitchen.
Yeah.
And not kind of thinking of your personality and it to reflect you personally instead of just like a pretty picture.
Right, because I've been to people's homes and I'm like, really, you're so vibrant. Like, this is what you chose? Like, vice versa.
Well, and I mean, it's also sometimes as a homeowner scary to really want to put something vibrant in because people are always like, oh, home resale, home resale, home resale. But you live there. Like, it should be.
Yeah, and I think it shouldn't, well, like my kitchen, if you look at it by itself, it's not great for resale. Like, it just isn't. But if you look at the whole house, and I live in a mid-century modern home, and the original footprint or the original materials, there's blue tile and toucan wallpaper that the owners in 1962 put in. So I used what was existing there and sort of the original personality of the house as anchor for the kitchen design. And I mean, that's a good point too, is you want it to be, hold on, I made another good point. you want the kitchen or the house to be respectful of the original architecture. In certain instances, like I think these beautiful Tudor homes in neighborhoods like Old Orchard and Otto Hills, I think it would be weird if it went like completely modern or completely like modern farmhouse, and it's like, well, that doesn't really fit this beautiful like historic.
Right, totally clash. You've got modern farmhouse in 1920s.
Right, but
Art Deco.
But there's like so many fun ways with new tiles that are out there to make it feel sort of like modern and edgy, but also respect that era. So while like I love Zeliche tile right now, so that's like maybe a kitchen trend.
I don't know what that is.
So it's this beautiful like handmade Moroccan tile, and there's color variation from where we did like a greenish version of it, but there's such variation from color to color that it has sort of like ombre feel to it, but also it's textured, and it lends itself, I feel like it lends itself to like a historic home because it does feel sort of weathered. In this kitchen in Benton Harbor, Michigan, which is southwest Michigan, which it's like an hour from Chicago.
Okay.
And it's like one of those old orchard type homes. You walk in and it's round brick in the entryway and real beautiful. We're doing a black Zeliche in there to kind of give it some edgy modernness, but traditional shaker cabinets, and bringing in some vintage furniture for their island and that sort of thing. So it feels historic, and it feels, I think also because of the shape, like if it's square, that feels appropriate for a 1940s house.
It's one thing to go in and gut a house.
Yeah.
Right? When we flipped a house, it was easy to pick choices that went together because you're doing it all at once.
Yeah.
But in updating our current home, it's like, okay, we want to keep some of the original character of the house, but we want modern elements.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that can be really difficult. Like, how do you get yourself, your style, whether that's your supposed style or your actual style, your personality, and then your lifestyle? Like, how does it all come together? Like that's tricky.
I think with a historic home, one of the easiest ways to sort of pull in up some modern elements is through lighting fixtures. So like this house in Benton Harbor, it's all sort of traditional with like this edgy tile, but we're doing super mid-century modern lighting fixtures. So it feels unexpected, which is also sort of cool, like mixing in elements, but you're not totally like flipping off that it's a 40s house.
Right.
So I think that, and little fixes for a room like a kitchen or a bathroom is, if you can, changing up the faucet. And I say if you can, because if your countertop like won't lend itself to that because of existing holes and whatnot. But that's an easy way without gutting, the whole thing. And I think cabinet pulls is another thing that people sometimes will hate, or it's really outdated. So as long as you can find the size that matches, that's an easy way to make it feel refreshed. Like I said, I think lighting fixtures is an easy refresh if what you want, there's existing electrical there. It is not as crazy to bring an electrician in to help you as people think sometimes. And definitely, I think if you need a new junction box put in, I mean, you could DIY it, I suppose, but I probably wouldn't. I think bringing in anything for plumbing and electric, it's worth their weight in gold to bring in pros for that, because those are the things that can really mess up your house.
Right.
So I think lighting fixtures, definitely. And if we're talking about a kitchen or a bath, changing out a backsplash is an easy-ish fix without gutting out the whole thing. I've seen probably like early 2000s, those glass mosaic backsplashes were pretty common with, you know, those sort of earthy colors. That I feel can be sort of dated. Just changing that out isn't terribly expensive. Paint is an easy thing. Paint is not, depending on the size of the room, it's not terribly expensive. It's not terribly difficult to do yourself if you have the patience, if you don't give up, or if you have a partner who can do the part that you hate and you can do the other part. And, you know, it is kind of expensive to bring in a professional painter, and it's usually not totally necessary.
Usually they're very quick though.
They are so quick.
Like, I don't know how they are as quick as they are, but they could repaint a whole house in no time.
Well, there's usually like several of them.
That's true.
Right? And they will use sprayers or like just tape everything. Yeah, I mean, it's. I feel like it's with hiring people, it's three things. Like, are they going to be affordable? Are they going to do a good job? And are they going to be fast? And you can pick two.
Yes. Yep.
So what are you know, where?
Right.
Yeah, you can get cheap and easy, or you can
Yeah.
get easy and really well done, or expensive and, you know.
Yeah. Expensive and slow is usually the way to go.
Yes.
Maybe that's a saying, but that rhymed. Cabinet pulls is great for a kitchen, for sure. The tricky thing with cabinet pulls is if you have like those long sort of modern pulls, is getting the center to center to match up with what you want. If you have, say, silver and you wish that they were brass, I see people do amazing things with that rub and buff. Oh. And I hear it holds up pretty well. So if it's sort of a temporary, like, hey, let's see if we can refresh this kitchen until we're ready to gut it in 3 years or 5 years or whatever, I just paint everything that you can because it's cheap. I think refinishing hardwood floors is often one of those things that people think is like, oh, I hate these cherry floors. Refinish them. You can bleach cherry, which makes it look like a white oak, which is very sort of on trend. I mean, you can stain things to look however you want. So it will probably be like a quarter of the price. So I have a friend who wants to buy this house and has cherry floors in one room and like oak floors in another. And I'm like, well, let's bleach, like get a quote. It's a small footprint for these awful cherry floors. And, you know, ask them to bleach it, and it'll probably look like white oak if they can, or if they have experience doing it.
Yeah.
And on that note, talking about wood furniture, if we want to, like, say you're not renovating a whole room and you have maybe just want to refresh your dining room. I have a client who has this great round oak dining table. It's the perfect size. It's just awful to look at. So we sent it over to a local furniture stripper and just had it stained black. And now, you know, it's this cool, it matches the rest of the room. So refinishing furniture is another thing that, like, if you don't want to pay money to have everything redone or buy new, have wood refinished. Ask around for an upholsterer to have new cushions made, or, you know, refinish a whole sofa. Finding a good upholsterer is, I feel like, something that we should just have in our life.
Okay.
Like, who knows a good upholsterer? Again, it's one of those things where they might do a great job and take a long time, but they're cheap. So you're gonna have to choose two when it comes to upholstery as well.
When we did our bathroom, it was really hard to figure out. We have a 1980s house, and we have some cherry wood, so reddish, and we really like the wood. When we redid the bathroom, it's like, okay, are we gonna do white wood and like over the next 10 years transition the whole house? But we really like the wood, so it's like, okay, well, we want the wood. How do we keep the wood but get modern elements?
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, well, tile choices, color choices. We did pick really modern fixtures, but tried to keep, because he wanted this like beige tile shower, and I'm like, I'm trying to get out of the 80s, not go back in it. So we picked like a light cream and like some gray tones to pull in the modern to still balance like the traditional elements. But it was hard. It was like, man, like what, I was like Googling like, how do you blend traditional and modern? What actually is modern?
Yeah.
Like, what should I keep?
That's one of my pet peeves. I have a few, but one of them is people confusing like modern with like contemporary, which I'm now realizing I might need to define right now.
Now you're gonna have to.
Contemporary is like what is on trend now, or what kind of defines now, and modern is an era, like mid-century modern. So you kind of have to define, if you're saying modern, what that means, and contemporary is current. So, you know, if it's like, oh, this is like a 90s modern, or, you know, mid-century modern is probably the most sort of
Common or
so-
well-known.
yeah.
Then do you just use modern after each? Like, could you say like a 90s modern? Like,
Yeah.
what was contemporary at the time of that? Or
Or
what?
you could say like now, if it is definitely not modern, you could say contemporary. Like I'm sure that these modern farmhouses will be considered like, that is what I consider like contemporary or whatever.
But it could eventually become its own era.
It's like if you think about artwork, like impressionism.
Impressionism, yes.
You know what I mean? It's defining a style. So, yeah, modern, it has its own section at the museum. Think of it sort of that way, not
Right.
defining like everything.
Whatever's
Right.
current.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we weren't going for current, because I guess we were trying to go classic, traditional
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah.
Something that is going to withstand the trends. It's going to withstand contemporary.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it just for now. I want it to last and resale.
Yeah, I think it's smart to think about, you know, as much as I'm like, renovate for you. If you know for sure, like, this is not our forever home, this is a stepping stone into something else, I think it is smart to sort of design something that isn't too insane. Or if you do put an insane element in there, like wallpaper, I love wallpaper, you know, have that be that thing that you can then have swapped out.
Right.
Wallpaper also, I think people think that wallpaper is so expensive to have done, and it really isn't. It's probably less than bringing in a painter. A lot of times painters do wallpaper, but like having a room painted. So having somebody do upholstery for you and having somebody in your Rolodex for wallpaper is a great little.
Or we just call you and say, Mary, I need.
Or yes,
one.
you can just hire a designer. And I also will just do, if people like are looking at a house and are like, I can't see, you know, said people have a hard time seeing the vision. We'll come into a house and like, I hate the wallpaper, I hate the paint, I hate the whatever. If they don't have the vision, but they love the location, they love the footprint, or schools, or all the things that people like went there to begin with, having somebody come in and say, well, you can change this out, and give you kind of a rough idea of what the cost might be or how hard it might be to do those things, because sometimes it's not a reason to walk away.
Right, like if you love the house, if you love the neighborhood, but you just cannot see it in your style.
Yeah.
A lot of times those are things that can be changed.
Yeah.
Easily.
Well, and it's nice to know, like, okay, here's some refreshes that we can do right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then
If you're not ready
the
for
more
that big
expensive
gut,
stuff, you know, the counters, the floors, replacing cabinets. We're not ready for that yet, but we can make it to our style with some of these smaller options.
Less expensive little fixes, yeah, for sure. For more tips, follow Merrily Modern on Instagram.
Yep. Hey.